Making $170,000 a year didn't make me rich. It made me more comfortable enough to feel trapped. Most people think a six-figure job means like you get more freedom, but it's honestly just a prettier cage. Till you learn this one skill, your money's always going to stop when you stop. Now let me explain what I mean. At age 25, I landed my very first job in pharmacy and it felt amazing. $30 an hour as a pharmacy extern was pretty awesome. I spent a lot of that money on this car. I love this baby. This is my dream car. It's a Subaru Outback. I bought it in 2017. Put 150,000 miles on it already. But the problem was, like, after I made my first big check, which is around like $2,000 to $4,000 every like 2 to 4 weeks as a pharmacist, which eventually was from a pharmacy extern, $30 to $60 an hour. I was losing cash flow every single month. So yes, I was making maybe like $6,000 to $8,000 every single month after buying like insurance, 401k, paying to Social Security, my taxes that are due. But now I have this car that was reducing my cash flow by another $1,000 every single month, even though it was my dream car and I need a car. But I bought this car thinking that the checks would never stop and that things would be good and I pretty much never needed to worry about money ever again, until I started to have this feeling. I started having this feeling of, man, I'm tired of working 60 hours every single week. And that's because probably from age 18 to 25, I spent my whole life in school, imagining that at the end of it all, I'm going to make a lot of money and things are just going to be smooth sailing. But 60 hours a week honestly doesn't feel sustainable. And I don't think it feels sustainable for a lot of people, especially if they want families, they want to travel, they want to spend time with their parents, their aging parents. They maybe want to eat out once in a while. And maybe they want to save and invest for their future so they don't have to work one day. And that's going to cost money. So fast forward from that though, I'm age 27 now, moved back to my parents from Colorado, Pueblo, Colorado to South Carolina in Greenville, Spartanburg area. 27, pharmacy manager, now making $170,000 per year. Really good check. But again, really not that great after taxes and all the expenses. I was keeping maybe about like $90,000 to $100,000, which I'm extremely grateful for. And I know that sounds crazy to a lot of people that I didn't think that was good enough. But also remember, I spent 8 years of my life, or I invested 8 years of my life, and probably a little bit just under $200,000, which most people will never invest in, like that much education. And yes, if you played out 30 years, it's going to be a great career. But most pharmacists I know, including me, everyone's going to say we're spoiled, don't want to work 30 years in just one field. It doesn't mean I don't want to work. I love working, but it doesn't mean I want to limit myself to just this one profession for the next 30 years. Imagine you tell your 6-year-old self, you ask a 6-year-old child, hey, what do you want to do for 30 years? And they say, I want to be a doctor. Imagine if you hold that 6-year-old child to another 30 years of working towards being an astronaut or doctor or engineer. It'd be crazy. So people do the same exact things to 18-year-olds. And I don't think that's fair. And I don't think it's a good plan for most people. And if that's for you, great, stick to it. This video is not for you. So I looked really successful on paper, making this type of money. But honestly, I was exhausted mentally and I felt broke. Every single time I wanted to go out to eat, and even especially when I did my very first vacation to Europe, which included a trip to Paris, London, Germany, and very thankful I get to do those trips. But I had something totally different in mind when I was signing up for this 18 years ago. I thought it was going to be like, hey, I was going to have more time. I was going to make enough money to not feel scared whenever I spent money, because again, I wanted to eventually retire one day. I wanted health insurance. I wanted a 401k. And it didn't feel like it was going in that direction, or at least it wasn't going fast enough where by the time I was 40, I was sitting in a good position. So when I went to Europe and Germany, I remember I was like, oh, I'm going to be so relaxed. I'm going to have the greatest experiences. But instead of relaxing, I was honestly stressing at every single meal. I'm going to spend another $40 on this meal. I was stressing out for museum tickets. It's expensive to get into the Louvre. It was stressing out every time I had to take another flight or a train ride to another country. So it just kept on adding up and things didn't feel that great overall. And that's when I really realized I wasn't free. And again, I was just in a prettier cage. I have the title, I have the money, but I really didn't have any time freedom. And that's the real big, I guess if people want to say flex in life, it's it's nice to feel free. Today I am at a coffee shop at 9:33 a.m. making a video to hopefully help others navigate through their life. And if not navigate through their life, at least share my experience for my kids in the future to show them what I think you should do if you ever get stuck. So again, I moved back home. I learned from biggerpockets.com, my very first mentors, my parents, who are also very successful real estate investors. They actually encouraged me to go to pharmacy school at first, but didn't realize how I actually felt about life. And I don't blame anyone for my own choices. It was my choice to go in the end, and I don't regret it. But I definitely don't regret becoming a real estate investor. That's been one thing that's been extremely life-changing, not because like the money is great, not because it's more flexible. Well, actually it is partly that, but also just because like even when I decided to not work, because there's always, I feel like, a time where someone's not going to maybe want to enjoy the same job that they're doing. But even when I decide real estate's not for me, I know it's going to keep on building me wealth even after I'm bored, and I can just go and learn about another skill, maybe build a skill, but still have my rental properties pay me, which is one thing I really love. It gives me the freedom to exit when I want to exit. So I bought my first 2 rentals when I was with my parents, and it made about $100 to $600. They're just regular long-term rentals, and it wasn't life-changing, but they're good enough to get me started and give me a blueprint to a better life. And for me, a better life maybe meant an extra like $6,000 a month from rental income. And I was gonna have to buy probably like 20 of these. So long story short, it didn't end up being 20 more long-term rentals, but instead it ended up being a mixed portfolio, mainly focusing on rural Airbnbs, which can make around like $7,000 to $12,000 every single month, while having a mortgage that's only $1,000 to $2,000 every single month. And that was the path that actually led me to buying a home in Joshua Tree, multiple homes in West Virginia, properties in South Carolina, and running them as Airbnbs in rural locations where there's less regulation. People will pay high rents for a getaway from the city. They can fit large families, so instead of getting a small hotel where everyone has to get like multiple hotels, it just makes more sense. But what's crazy is like with those first 2 homes, it again flipped this switch in my brain. It's like, oh, I can make money while I sleep. It's not much again. It's only just $100 to $600 every single month. But that changed everything, and it changed my motivation to teach others, like especially pharmacists and other healthcare workers where we make tons of money. But honestly, we can't imagine that there's any other job out there in the world, especially after 8 years of time invested and $200,000 invested, that could be just as good. And that kept me stuck for way longer than I needed to be. And it made my old self choose decisions that I probably wouldn't have chosen at this age in life. As a 34-year-old with 20 units in real estate, if I know what I know now, I probably would not have gone to pharmacy school and sacrificed so much of my life. And now at 34 years old, me and my fiance, we were able to go to Japan, spend $10,000 pretty recently, and not feel the same stresses that I felt when I was in Germany, Paris, and France. Germany, Paris, England. Yeah. So the lesson is, it's not just about saving money. It's learning how to buy back your time. And whether that's through like business, automations, real estate, it's something you have to do today, not tomorrow, today. And if I were to give my 25-year-old self some advice, or even my 18-year-old self, is make sure you're using like AI to like explore your mind. Read the books that you need to read. And if I'm going to give you any actionable steps, maybe learn about real estate like how I did, which is the book on long distance real estate by Brandon Turner the book on long distance real estate investing by David Green is a great book to start with. The Burr book also, Buy, Rehab, Rent, Refinance, Repeat, great book to get you started. And maybe the final book, which is Short-Term Rental, Long-Term Wealth, that teaches you how to use these rentals as Airbnbs so you can make more cash flow. And maybe one more book in case you just don't have any money, you don't know how to get started, the book on low to no money down real estate investing. Really good ones. And if you do that, I promise you it might not be overnight, but you'll never have to trade your hours for $1 ever again.